Howdy, all. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this May 3rd. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. God bless you all. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist. And please hit the like button, the subscribe button, that notification bell so you stay caught up. So we kicked things off in the book of Esther yesterday when the king of Xerxes was insulted by his own queen, Vashti, when she refused to join him during a party so that he could show her off and have everyone respect and admire him. And so as a result, the king has sent letters out to the entire empire saying that the man was supposed to be ruler over his own family in order to try to, make sure that there was not too much unrest within the empire. And now we're going to begin the process of finding the new queen of Persia and Media today. So let's go to Esther chapter 2 today, starting in verse 1. Later, King Xerxes stopped being angry. Then he remembered Vashti and what she had done. He remembered his commands about her. Then the king's personal servants had a suggestion. They said, "Search for beautiful young virgins for the king. Let the king choose leaders from every province of his kingdom. Then let the leaders bring every beautiful young virgin to the capital city of Susa. These young women will be put with the group of the king's women. They will be under the care of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women. Then give beauty treatments to all of them. Then let the one who is pleasing to the king become the new queen in Vashti's place." The king liked this suggestion, so he accepted it. Now there was a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin named Mordecai. Mordecai was the son of Jair, and Jair was the son of Shimei, and Shimei was the son of Kish. Mordecai was in the capital city, Susa. Mordecai had been carried into captivity from Jerusalem by King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. He was with the group that was taken into captivity with King Jehoiachin of Judah. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah. She didn't have a father or a mother, so Mordecai took care of her. Mordecai had adopted her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. Hadassah was also called Esther. She had a pretty face and a good figure. When the king's command had been heard, many young women were brought to the capital city of Susa. They were put under the care of Haggai. Esther was one of these women. She was taken to the king's palace and put into Haggai's care. Haggai was in charge of the king's women. He liked Esther. She became his favorite, so he quickly gave Esther beauty treatment and special food. He chose 7 slave women from the king's palace and gave them to Esther. Then he moved Esther and her 7 women servants into the best place where the king's women lived. Esther didn't tell anyone she was a Jew. She didn't tell anyone about her family background because Mordecai had told her not to. Every day Mordecai walked back and forth near the area where the king's women lived. He did this because he wanted to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. Before a young woman could take her turn to go in before King Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatments, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes and cosmetics. When her time came to go in to the king, she could choose to wear or take whatever she wanted from the women's living area. In the evening, the young woman would go to the king's palace, and in the morning she would return to another area where the king's women lived. Then she would be placed under the care of a man named Shashgaz. He was the king's eunuch in charge of the slave women. She would not go back to the king again unless he was pleased with her. Then he would call her by name to come back to him. The time came for Esther to go to the king. She was the one Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihail. All she wanted to take with her was what Haggai, the king's officer in charge of the women, suggested. Everyone who saw Esther liked her. So Esther was taken to King Xerxes in the palace. This happened in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his rule. The king loved Esther more than any of the other young women, and she became his favorite. He approved of her more than any of the others. So King Xerxes put a crown on Esther's head and made her the new queen in place of Vashti. And the king gave a big party for Esther. It was for all his important people and leaders. He announced a festival in all the provinces and sent out gifts to the people because he was a generous king. Verse 19. Mordecai was sitting next to the king's gate at the time the young women were gathered together the second time. Esther had still kept it a secret that she was a Jew. She had not told anyone about her family background. This was what Mordecai had told her to do. She still obeyed Mordecai just as she had done when he was taking care of her. During the time Mordecai was sitting next to the king's gate, this happened. Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, became angry with the king. They began to make plans to kill King Xerxes. But Mordecai learned about these plans and told Queen Esther. Then she told the king. She also told him that Mordecai was the one who had learned about the evil plan. Then the report was checked out. It was learned that Mordecai's report was true. The two guards who had planned to kill the king were hanged on a post. All these things were written down in a book of the king's histories in front of the king. All right, well, that was a lot of words. So let's just kind of take it, one piece at a time. So here we have Esther and Mordecai. So Mordecai is of the tribe of Benjamin. If we remember, Benjamin is the smallest of the 12 tribes of Israel. So it's usually depicted as the least important since it's the smallest. And Mordecai is part of that tribe. Tells us that he was one of the captives when the Babylonians came and conquered Israel during the rule of Nebuchadnezzar. And he has a cousin, Esther. So he is taking care of Esther as his daughter, since Esther's parents are dead at this point. And so during this time when Xerxes is gathering all these women, these virgins, to find someone who pleases him and to be his new king, Esther is taken in. Now, it says, and they made a point several times here, that she hides the fact that she's a Jew. Now, at this time, the Jews are not, well, let's be honest, in no time in history are the Jews looked on favorably, really, by the world. That's because the world knows that they are special, that they are God's chosen people. And so the devil does anything he can to try to keep them down and to make them vilified, even today. And so in order to prevent any of that from happening, Esther and Mordecai keep that a secret for now, that she's just another woman, no one special. And but she's clearly blessed and favored by God because other people are impressed with her and like her and love her. She quickly becomes favorite of not only the person in charge of all the king's concubines, but when she goes to the king, he's quickly taken with her. And as you can see, it so much so that she becomes queen. So she goes from just being a nobody to queen of the Persian Empire in about a year's time. It sounds like maybe a little longer than that. And then we see Mordecai take advantage of Esther's position, not in a bad way, but he hears about this plot to assassinate Xerxes, tells Esther, Esther tells the queen, or the king, excuse me, and so Mordecai will be rewarded for that as well. So that's kind of the pattern that we're going to follow here in this book as we continue on. So we'll pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.